जी मैं काफ़ी जल्दी उठता हूँ सुबह 4:30 बजे। सो लेकिन बहुत मज़ा आया क्योंकि ये जो प्लेयर्स थे वो एब्सोल्युटली वेल ट्रेंड प्लेयर्स थे और काफ़ी समय तक मैं बॉल को देख रहा था लेकिन इट वॉज फन प्लेइंग। आधे घंटे के लिए हम लोग ने खेला। इट वॉज अ लॉट ऑफ फन, एंजॉयड। आई ओनली there are 2 or 3 things I live, breathe, eat. One is fitness, one is football, the other is motorcycling. So football is part of my DNA. I haven't played for many years, which was pretty evident, but I enjoyed playing the game, and I love watching all the leagues. The English Premier League, the Celta Vigo, Serie A, Bundesliga, the La Liga. So I watch all the leagues and I try and follow as much of football as possible. I try and catch a little of the leagues that exist here also, and the efforts that Reliance are trying to put into this game to popularize it.
John, do you think you have an extra pressure being a film star? You have to look good also on hair with the kind of things that we saw you doing, with fixing your hair and stuff like that?
No, I hope not. I hope I don't have the extra pressure. But if you see football players today, I think they spend hours doing their hair before they come on the field. So I think our boys are lovely. They're really fit, and I hope I don't have to take that extra effort in trying to look good, because I think fitness is meant to make you look good. So you don't need the extra makeup. Like, I haven't put makeup and I've come here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to sweat it out, and I like the feeling of sweat and you're completely wet. I like that. It's good fun.
अभी समय में आपका मद्रास कैसा फिल्म आ रही है?
जी।
पूरा देखते हैं उसको और क्या
What's the feedback like?
The feedback's fabulous. All I can say is it's a different film, and a lot of people say their films are different, but when you see Madras Cafe, you'll realize why it is different. There's a strong element of controversy that's surrounding the film, so I have to keep traveling to Chennai and back. But I think the film's going to be it's going to be a hard-hitting film, and people see it, they'll realize that these are the events that changed the political history of this country. And we've spoken about assassinations, we've spoken about conspiracies, everything.
John, you said that he'll most certainly buy a team in the league. So,
Who has said?
Mr. Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay.
So, would you buy a franchise in the league?
Well, if I could afford to, I will.
Okay. And
You know?
which international stars would you want to see in your team?
There's so many of them that are so brilliant. I'm a big fan of there's this new kid who's come in, and I really think he's the future of football. He's Brazilian. His name is Neymar, and Neymar has just been signed on by Barcelona, and he's going to play alongside Lionel Messi, and that makes Barcelona seem like the most unbeatable team. So if you Google Neymar, Neymar, I'm promoting him, I don't know, but he's brilliant. You can ask Baichung about him. I'd love to. These guys are geniuses. But I'll tell you something, our football players are no less. It's nice that we have coaches like Trevor who've come down from, my assumption is Australia, to actually coach some of our players, because our players are really fabulous. They're really, really good.
Do you think the Bollywood stars, if associated with any sport, gives them a push or backup or what?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's a fact. Unfortunately, our country doesn't have, athletic stars. It doesn't have swimming stars. It doesn't have, no one's a star here except a cricket player or an actor. So I think as much as we can do to contribute to, to sport, I think we must. And I think everybody is. Like you said, Shah Rukh is doing a lot for sport, and it's very credible. What he's doing is absolutely fabulous. So if all of us can do what he's doing, it'll be great.
John, Madras Cafe में एक कैरेक्टर है अजय रत्नम का, वो LTTE जो चीफ टेररिस्ट रह चुके हैं, उनसे कुछ थोड़ा कैरेक्टर मिलता है, तो क्या उसको बेस करते?
जी, हमने काफ़ी लोगों से इंस्पिरेशन हम लोग ने ली है. मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि दिस इज़ अ वर्क ऑफ फिक्शन, लेकिन जो बैकड्रॉप है वो डेफिनेटली तमिल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के बारे में है और श्रीलंका में जो हुआ उसके बारे में है. तो काफ़ी कैरेक्टर्स के रिजेम्बलेंसेस काफ़ी मिलेंगे आपको व्हेन यू सी द फिल्म. इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि ये काफ़ी हार्ड हिटिंग फिल्म है. देखने के बाद आपको पता चलेगा कि ये सारे इवेंट्स हमारे हिंदुस्तान में हुआ था 1991 में या 1988 में, या जब ये IPKF वहाँ पे गए थे. देयर लॉट ऑफ इवेंट्स दैट विल कम टू लाइफ, एंड जिस तरीके से हमने उसको प्रेजेंट किया है, पेश किया है, वो बहुत ही कमर्शियल फॉर्मेट में पेश किया है. क्योंकि हमारे यंगस्टर्स जो है वो शायद लेट 80s या अर्ली 90s में जो हुआ था उसके बारे में जानते नहीं हैं. तो हम यही चाहते हैं कि आई डोंट नो वेदर इट्स अ गुड फिल्म और अ बैड फिल्म, बट इट्स अ फिल्म यू मस्ट सी. You must see a film like Madras Cafe because it will give you an insight into what India was about.
तो ये agree कि वो जो character है वो प्रभाकरण से मिलता है.
जी, काफ़ी इंस्पिरेशन ली हमने उस कैरेक्टर से.
John, the bar of box office is really gone high with Chennai breaking all the records. How do you see that?
I don't see that. I don't see that as a filmmaker. I believe in commerce, but I still believe that, I'm very happy for Shah Rukh, first of all. A big congratulations. And it's great that his film has done such amazing business. I only hope that I can create content. So with every film, I'll only try and create content. I don't know, I don't care about commerce. Commerce is a byproduct of good content. So if you make good films, you will see good commerce. And I think youngsters today want to see different kind of films. Maybe your collections are high, but sometimes they walk out and they say the film was not great.
Yeah.
So I feel Madras Cafe, even if 2 people go to see it, I want them to walk out and say it's a great film. And I think Madras Cafe is a film that has to be seen by everybody in this country because it's so relevant to India. And with Independence Day coming up, August 15th, we have a very big ex-Prime Minister's birthday on the 20th of August, Rajiv Gandhi. And 23rd is Madras Cafe release. It makes our film all the more relevant.
तो जॉन, आपने कहा कि 15 अगस्त आने वाला है, तो इस मौके पर आपका करप्शन खत्म करने के लिए कोई मंत्र?
जी, अगर मैं अकेले कुछ कर सकूँ तो
फिर भी आप उस पर क्या कहना?
जी, इतना ही कहना चाहता हूँ कि हमारे यंगस्टर्स जो है, हमारी जो यंग पॉपुलेशन है, वो दुनिया की सबसे लार्जेस्ट यंग पॉपुलेशन है. 70% 40 के नीचे है. सो आई थिंक वीव गॉट अ यंग पॉपुलेशन ऑफ अबाउट 650 मिलियन, लार्जेस्ट यंगेस्ट पॉपुलेशन इन द वर्ल्ड. अगर ये लोग एजुकेशन के थ्रू कुछ कर सकते हैं, देन इट विल बी ग्रेट. आई जस्ट होप फॉर द बेस्ट. लेकिन ये जो करप्शन है वो तो इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद ये एक ब्लीडिंग पीरियड है, वो मेरे हिसाब से निकल जाएगा. आई थिंक इंडिया विल प्रोग्रेस. अभी हम रुपी के डिप्रिसिएशन के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे, GDP ग्रोथ के बारे में बात नहीं करें. वी वोंट टॉक अबाउट द इन्फ्लेशन, बट वी होप इलेक्शन के बाद कुछ पॉजिटिव निकलेगा. बिकॉज द रुपी इज व्हाट 62 नाउ, 61.5. सो बैड.
But what do you think is responsible for price hike?
हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल?
What do you
देयर आर नंबर ऑफ फैक्टर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल. मैं काफ़ी एपॉलिटिकल हूँ, मैं पॉलिटिकली इंक्लाइन नहीं हूँ. ना तो मैं कांग्रेस का हूँ ना BJP का हूँ, लेकिन मैं बहुत ही पॉलिटिकली अवेयर हूँ. मुझे पता है कि क्या हो रहा है, मुझे पता है कि करप्शन कहाँ से शुरू होता है, मुझे पता है कि इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज़ क्या है. क्योंकि मॉन्टेक सिंह आलूवालिया हो या चिदम्बरम हो, जो भी बात करते हैं मैं काफ़ी गौर से सुनता हूँ. अगर चिदम्बरम बोलते हैं कि लग्जरी गुड्स के आइटम्स ड्यूटीज़ बढ़ाने चाहिए तो मैं वो सुनता हूँ. अगर वो बोले हिंदुस्तान को कि 1 महीने के लिए साल में आप गोल्ड ना खरीदें, you understand that imports of gold is also creating a problem. So you listen to all this. मैं काफ़ी aware हूँ economically. तो there's corruption at every level, unfortunately, my love.
तो जो पॉलिटिक्स है उसमें जो है आजकल कास्ट पॉलिटिक्स ज़्यादा हो रही है, तो आपको क्या
Let's concentrate on football. या अभी आप उसमें घुस रहे हैं तो वो तो separate. Anything else on football?
No.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Which club do I follow? I follow the unluckiest club in the English Premier League, which is Liverpool.
चिप दे दे. 1-1 के लिए बुलाया ना बाहर. हाँ ठीक है, pass this way. Come.
I can walk straight like that, unless you want these clothes back.
He's just grabbing a bite inside.
I'll call him later. Coming back. Let's make this thing happen here.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, please.
पहली बार देखा जाए फुटबॉल का इतना बड़ा टूर्नामेंट जा रहा है, देश के प्लेयर के लिए कितना फायदा होगा और सबसे बड़ी बात है आई लीग के प्लेयर नहीं खेल रहे हैं, कितना नुकसान होगा?
I think it's first of all जो नया टूर्नामेंट हो रहा है which if it happens which is likely to happen January में, I think it's great for Indian football. Definitely football players लोग के लिए being a president of players association, having spoken to the players, I think they are looking forward to it, and I think it's going to benefit players a lot. And more than that, I think it's going to benefit Indian football because if you look at last 5 to 10 years, the way I-League is gone and the way Indian football, I think we've not been able to make a big impact. So I think it's important that we have new investors, new teams, new people investing into the game, good big footballers across the world coming and playing a tournament like IPL, and which is just 2.5 months of tournament. And I think that's going to bring a lot of people to the ground, which I think I-League is struggling at the moment. So I think it's important that 2.5 months of this tournament would bring in people, would bring in investors, sponsors, and also generate a lot of interest and hype to a lot of youngsters who want to make football a career. And then they can see that they can make a career out of it. And also for the I-League clubs, which I own one of the I-League club, and as an owner I can say I think it's good for Indian football, and I think it will benefit I-League as well. Sometime or the later. So we need to be positive. Everybody has to come together and make sure that tournament goes off well, and let's see how it goes then.
Baichung, you said the last 10 years I-League has not made an impact. You said that in Hindustan Times also.
Yes.
You said there is no money at all. You given a virtually gloomy picture for Indian football.
Absolutely.
So is there any alternative, or do you think I-League, if it's not made an impact, should be continued at all?
I think it should continue, but we need to bring in new investors, new teams, and it has to reach out to different parts of the country. What's happening with I-League is it's just between Bengal 5 clubs and Goa 5 clubs, and it's stuck between 2 states, and it's not reach out to other parts of the state. We're not getting new investors coming into it, and on the whole I think that's been a big impact. So I-League should continue. I-League definitely with new people coming into the game, new investors coming in, new hype coming into it, I'm sure I-League can survive and do well. But if you look at last 5 years, look at clubs like Mahindra United, two times I-League champion, JCT, the first I-League champion club, they're all shut down. It's sad. We don't want clubs to shut down. And today, a club like United Sikkim, which has just come 2 years old, we're struggling to just survive because we don't have sponsors. I go and meet each and every corporate house, and when it comes to I-League, I'm struggling to get sponsors as well. So I think it's important that the new tournament comes in. With that, the interests, whoever invests in the IPL or whatever format new tournament, there will be some people who would be interested to invest into I-League as well, I hope. And maybe later on, 3-4 years down the line, I hope the new tournament can club it with I-League and make one tournament on the whole.
Why do you think I-League failed actually?
I think it failed out to reach to different parts of the state. It just stuck between Calcutta 5 clubs and Goa 5 clubs. Federation did not really have new ideas to spread out the game across. I think the state association, a lot of the state association apart from Goa and Bengal, I think did not do much to bring in new professional club and support and bringing in new teams to come in. I started United Sikkim. I struggled so much, in Sikkim itself. So it's a nightmare to have a new club that's playing in I-League. Obviously, it's not end. I'm not saying that I-League should shut down or I-League has no hope. There's definitely hope, but something new, exciting thing has to come in to revive the game, I feel.
What is the USP of this tournament in the sense that is it the marketing part or the glamorization or the format, the 2.5 month format? What is the USP of this tournament? Which sets it apart?
I don't know yet, but I think if it's true that we're trying to bring in some of the big players, big names in Indian world football, if a few players like Michael Owen or a few other players can come in and play with the Indian players, because right now if you look into a lot of the Indian players are just trying to go abroad and play in European clubs or anywhere, and that's just because they want to play with the good quality players, big name players, and want to go into the big clubs. So I think it's important that if we have few big names, and that makes a big impact. When Drogba signed in China, I think it made news worldwide. MLS had not so much of coverage or not so much we couldn't hear much about MLS until David Beckham went in. So I think it makes a big impact. And I think football would be noticed just not in Asia but around the world if big players come in. And it's a great opportunity for our Indian players to play with the likes of Michael Owen if in case in future they happen to come in.
So you're the only I-League.
This Premier League will be played during the course of the I-League, so it's going to be played during the I-League season. It will hamper the players shifting to different leagues and also hamper the selection process for the national squad.
I don't think so, but that way I don't think, because if you look around the world as well, there are European Champions League being played and then you've got Premiership played simultaneously. And you go into one tournament, the same players play in European Champions League and come and play in Premiership as well. So playing that way, it does not hamper in terms of selection and in terms of quality. Yes, the players should be playing, that's very, very important. And I wish, because if you look at the players here, when I was looking today, I think you can, if you make a team out of this 38 players, it's as equally as good as the national team players. The kind of players, the quality we have in this 38 players whom I just saw, I think there are some not some, but I think 90% of the players can easily walk into the national team, given a right platform. So it's going to be as equally as good. So it's a loss for both the, we wanted lot of good players from I-League coming and playing this new tournament, and we also want a lot of these players playing in I-League. So I think the clubs and the new tournament organizers have to come together and make sure that players get to play in both the tournaments. I think we should just not focus on what my benefit or my club benefit or my own benefit. We need to look at the larger picture of Indian football. And at the moment, I think we need a tournament which can spice up, which can bring in sponsors, which can bring in crowd to the stadium, and which can motivate the young generation, especially young generation, to come and play the game. So I think we should come together rather than having that big egos kept. And I think a lot of the smaller clubs or the medium range club does suffer, because big clubs, they will have the money and they will still go on and play I-League. But a lot of clubs who does not have that kind of money would suffer, because if you look at today, Prayag United, they're struggling. They've not formed a team this season. They're in I-League. They don't have players to sign. They don't have the sponsors. There are a lot of other clubs. Churchill Brothers, winners of I-League for the last 2-3 years, without a title sponsor. So there are problems, and I think they need to look beyond that and make sure, we work together, and for the betterment of Indian football is what we have to really look into.
Just take last 3 questions.
Churchill is very vocal in saying that against ILG, and you are the only I-League club owner who is part of it. Are you outcast among I-League club owners?
See, I don't think I-League clubs, everybody's against it. I've been into the meetings as well. There are, yes, 1 or 2 I-League clubs that calls the shot. So I think it's very unfair, because others, I think when the I-League Clubs Association meet, we don't have the real owners coming in, sitting and meeting. We don't have the Dempos, and we don't have Mr. Alemao coming. So it's represented by few people who I think has got very limited knowledge sometimes when we come to that. I think, as I said, we need to look into the larger picture. So there are a lot of clubs still who are struggling. Like today, if Praya can make a team and get some players from it, they would be keen and happy. But now, because they've formed an association and they've put a diktat from some few people, so they also can't sign. So I think it's very unfair. Teams like Arima, who just come in this year, they're a young team, they're a new team, and they've come first year in I-League, and you don't want, after so much of struggle, so much of hard work, you don't want Arima to be relegated next season. So I think the clubs have to realize, the few people who are making those decisions in that clubs association has to realize that it's betterment of Indian football. Because if the I-League continues this way, everybody's going to struggle, and that's what we've already seen with Mahindras and JCTs. So
the league has come under immense criticism even before it started. So what made you back this venture?
See, I think if you look at the larger picture for Indian football, it's very, very important. What we need to realize is, for the last 10 years, if you're looking at where have we gone, have we just reached top 20 in Asia, top 20 in Asia as well? We've not made the mark. In last 16 years of my international career, the biggest achievement which I can boast of is qualified for the Asia Cup. That's happened once. Now, the next Asia Cup in Australia, we've not qualified. The next Asia Cup, we're already out of the pre-qualifiers. So it's important that we need to look into the national side of it, which the players get exposure, because players play an important role. They get more exposure, more confidence, more competitive matches with good quality players. I think the confidence and the quality improves in the players. Once the players' quality improves, I think the clubs and the national team also gets into it. So I think we need to really look into the national, and just not for the I-League and trying fighting between clubs association and the new tournament. But I think on the larger picture, I can assure you that all the players whom we've spoken are very, very keen to play this. Obviously, they are bound with their contracts with the clubs, but given a chance, if clubs tomorrow says, do you want to play it, everybody will have 100% players saying that we want to play a new tournament.
Last question. Last question.
How much, being a former player also, how much does this stand off? We all hope that the players can play in both tournaments, but if it doesn't happen, then most of them are going to be sitting for, the players who play here are going to be free for 7 months.
Yeah.
So, as a former player, how important do you think, and what sort of a dilemma does this put a player into?
I think it's a big setback for especially players who don't get to play a longer time. You know, sitting 6 months, 7 months is a very, very bad thing. But I'm sure if that really happens, I'm sure there is something which can be worked out. You know, they can form a team and play different tournaments in India. There's no lack of tournaments like a Durand Cup. You know, there are a lot of other tournaments also can make a trip outside. But I think it's going to be a big loss for I-League as well as the Reliance tournament, because you want the best players of I-League coming and playing the Reliance, and you want the best players of Reliance, the new tournament going and playing I-League. Because if you have 38 good quality players not playing in I-League, I-League is going to suffer quite a lot in terms of quality, in terms of, you know, big names not being there. So I-League clubs would suffer quite a lot already, which I-League is suffering in terms of quality, in terms of sponsorship. So I think it's important that we need to look beyond that and make sure that there's somewhere compromise comes in, and, you know, the players don't lose out in playing matches because my club has to survive or I have to survive. I think we need to look at the larger picture for the Indian football, as I said, and I think we need to make sure that the I-League clubs have to be flexible, and especially not the big ones but the smaller clubs. I think there are players, quality players that can give them good service for their club, and I think they can, you know, take these players.
Thanks, Baichung. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, John.